White made a move. King d6. Pause the video to spot black's next move. King f6. King d7. King e5. King e7. King f4. King takes e6. King takes f3. King f7. White is preparing to play. King g6. King g3. King takes h6. King h4. King g6 and increase their advantage significantly. King g2 played by black. Black is looking to play king takes h3 and gain a significant edge. On h4 move preferred by white. White's idea is to play pawn takes g5 and gain a significant edge. Pawn takes h4 move preferred by black. King g6. King h3. Black's idea is to play king takes g4 and establish a winning position. King h5 played by white. King g3. Black is aiming to play pawn h3. Pawn g5. Pawn takes g5 and secure a stronghold in the game. Pawn g5 played by white. White is preparing to play pawn g6. King f4. King takes h4. King e5. Pawn g7 and put immense pressure on the opponent. Pawn takes g5 played by black. King takes g5. White is outplayed. Let's go to the next game. White made a move. King g3. Pause the video to figure out black's next move. King g5. King f2. King takes g4. King e3. Pawn f5. Black is preparing to play pawn f4 check. King e2. Pawn f3 check. King f2. King f4. King g1. King g3. King h1. King f2 and take decisive advantage. King e2 played by white. King g3. King f1. King f3. Black is planning to play pawn f4. King g1. King e2. King g2. Pawn f3 check. King g3. King e3. King g4. Pawn f2 and put immense pressure on the opponent. King e1 was chosen by white. King g2. King d1. Pawn f4. King d2. Pawn f3. King e3. Pawn f2. King f4. Pawn promotes to queen at f1 check. King e5. White has no response. Let's go to the next game. Black just played King g6. Pause the video and try to find white's next move. Pawn e5. Pawn takes e5 check. King takes e5. King f7. King f5. White might go for pawn h4. King e7. King g6. King d6. King takes h6 and gain a significant edge. King e7 was chosen by black. King g6. King d6. King takes h6. King c5. Pawn h4. King takes c4. Pawn h5. King b4. King g5. King takes a4. Pawn h6. King takes b5. Pawn h7. King c4. Pawn promotes to queen at h8. On a4 white has a decisive advantage. Let's go to the next game. Black just played on c5. Pause the video to find out white's response. Pawn takes c5. Pawn takes g4. Pawn takes g4. Pawn takes c5. Pawn takes c5. King takes e5. King f2. King e6. King takes f3. King d7. Pawn e4. King c6. Pawn takes d5 check. King takes d5. On c6. White's idea is to play. On c7. King e5. Pawn promotes to queen at c8 and dominate the board. King takes c6 move preferred by black. King e4. King d6. King f5. King d5. King takes g5. King e5. White is in a commanding position. Let's go to the next game. Black just played. On d4. Pause the video to spot White's next move. Pawn takes d4. Pawn takes d4. King f4. White is setting up to play. King e4. King g7. Pawn f4 and establish a winning position. King g7 played by black. On a4. King h6. King e4. White is aiming to play king takes d4 and dominate the board. King h5 move preferred by black. On b4. White considers playing pawn takes a5 and secure a stronghold in the game. Pawn takes b4 was chosen by black. King takes d4. King takes h4. On a5. King g3. On a6. White's idea is to play. On a7. Pawn b3. Pawn promotes to queen at 8 and take decisive advantage. Pawn b3 played by black. King c3. King f2. On a7. White considers playing pawn promotes to queen at a8 and sees the initiative. King g3 was chosen by black. Pawn promotes to queen at a8. White is preparing to play. Queen g8. King f4. Queen takes g6 and sees the initiative. Pawn b2. Black has no response. Let's go to the next game. White played. King f4. Pause the video to spot black's next move. King d5. King takes g4. King c4. King h5. King takes b4. King takes h6. King takes a5. On g4. On b4. On g5. On b3. On g6. On b2. On g7. On promotes to queen at b1. On promotes to queen at g8. Queen h1 check. King g7. Queen takes g2 check. King h7. Queen takes g8 check. King takes g8. White has no response. Let's go to the next game. Black played. King g5. Pause the video to analyze White's next move. King takes e5. King g6. On f4. White is aiming to play. King e6. King g7. King e7. King g6. On f5 check. King g5. On f6. King takes g4. On f7 and sees the initiative. King f7 was chosen by black. King f5. On a6. On a3. White intends to play. On b4. King g7. King e6. King g6. On f5 check and take decisive advantage. Pawn c6 was chosen by black. On a4. King g7. King e6. White's idea is to play. King e7. King g6. On f5 check. King g5. On f6. King f4. On f7. King e4. Pawn promotes to queen at f8 and sees the initiative. King f8 was chosen by black. On f5. White is aiming to play. On a5. King g7. On f6 check. King g6. On f7. King g5. Pawn promotes to queen at f8. On c5. Queen g7 check and dominate the board. Pawn c5 was chosen by black. On the 5. King e8. King f6. King d7. King g7. King c6. On f6. King d5. On f7. King f4. Pawn promotes to queen at f8. White wants to play queen takes c5 and put immense pressure on the opponent. King b4. White has a strong upper hand. Let's go to the next game. White played King b2. Pause the video to spot black's next move. King d4. Pawn g4. Pawn takes g4. Pawn takes g4. King e4. Black might go for King f4. Pawn g5. King takes g5. King c3. King g4 and increase their advantage significantly. Pawn g5 played by white. On the 5. Black wants to play King f5. Pawn h4. King g4. King c3. King takes h4 and take decisive advantage. King c3 was chosen by white. King e3. Black is aiming to play King e4. King d2. King f5. King e2. King takes g5 and establish a winning position. King b3 played by white. King f4. Black wants to play King takes g5 and seize the initiative. Pawn g6 was chosen by white. White considers playing Pawn takes h7 and put immense pressure on the opponent. Pawn takes g6 move preferred by black. King c3. King e3. King b3. Pawn g5. King c2. Pawn g4. Black is aiming to play King f3. King d3. King g2. King d4. King takes h2 and take decisive advantage. King c3 was chosen by white. King e4. Black is planning to play King e3. King c2. King f3. King d3. King g2. King d4. King takes h2. King c5. Pawn b4 and increase their advantage significantly. King c2 was chosen by white. King f3. King c3. King g2. King d4. King takes h2. King c5. Black has a decisive advantage. Let's go to the next game. White made a move. Pawn a5. Pause the video to analyze black's next move. Pawn takes a5 check. King takes a5. King takes e4. King b6. White is setting up to play King takes c6 and secure a strong hold in the game. King d5 was chosen by black. Pawn h4. King d6. King a5. Pawn h6. Pawn h5. Pawn g5. King b4. King d5. King c3. Pawn f5. Pawn b3. Pawn c5. Black might go for Pawn f4. Pawn b4. Pawn takes b4 check and secure a strong hold in the game. Pawn g3 was chosen by white. King e4. King c4. Pawn f4. Black is looking to play Pawn takes g3 and seize the initiative. Pawn takes f4 was chosen by white. Pawn takes f4. King c3. King e3. King c4. Pawn f3. King d5. Pawn f2. King e6. Pawn promotes to queen at f1. Black's idea is to play Queen f3. King e7. Queen takes h5. King e6. King d4 and increase their advantage significantly. King d5. White is outplayed. Let's go to the next game. White made a move. On f4, pause the video to analyze black's next move. White is planning to play pawn takes e5 and dominate the board. Pawn takes f4 played by black. King takes f4. King f6. King g4. King e5. King f3. King f5. Black might go for King g5. King e4. King takes h5 and put immense pressure on the opponent. King e3 was chosen by white. King g5. King d4. King takes h5. King c5. King g6. King b6. On h5. King takes a6. On h4. King a5. On h3. Black might go for on h2. On a4. On promotes to queen at h1 and gain a significant edge. On a4 played by white. On takes a4. King takes a4. King f7. King d5. King e6. Black might go for King d6. King c4. On h2. King d4. On promotes to queen at h1. King e3. Queen d5 and establish a winning position. King c5 was chosen by white. King d7. On b5. On h2. King d4. On promotes to queen at h1. On b6, white is struggling to keep up. Let's go to the next game.